Henry David Thoreau's Walden, 1854, is a philosophical and autobiographical work that reflects on simple living in natural surroundings. The book chronicles Thoreau's 2-year experiment in self-reliance and introspection at Walden Pond, near Concord, Massachusetts. Through his time in solitude, Thoreau explores themes of simplicity, self-sufficiency, and humanity's relationship with nature. Walden is divided into 18 chapters, each addressing different aspects of Thoreau's experience and philosophy. It is both a practical account of his experiment and a spiritual reflection on the meaning of life. Chapter 1: Economy. The opening chapter, Economy, establishes the foundation of Thoreau's experiment and philosophy. He critiques the materialism and conformity of society, arguing that people work excessively to acquire possessions they do not truly need. Thoreau believes that simplifying one's life leads to greater freedom and fulfillment. He explains his decision to move to Walden Pond, where he built a small cabin and lived on minimal resources. Thoreau details his expenses, emphasizing how little money and labor are required to live simply. He advocates for self-reliance and rejects the societal pressure to conform to traditional measures of success, such as wealth or property ownership. Chapter 2: Where I Lived and What I Lived For. In this chapter, Thoreau reflects on his choice of location and his reasons for undertaking the experiment. He writes that he went to the woods to live deliberately, seeking to strip life down to its essentials and confront its fundamental truths. By doing so, he hoped to avoid the regret of realizing, at the end of his life, that he had not truly lived. Thoreau's philosophy centers on mindfulness and presence. He urges readers to question the routines and distractions of daily life and to embrace a simpler, more intentional existence. Chapter 3: Reading. Thoreau discusses the importance of intellectual growth and the role of reading in achieving a meaningful life. He emphasizes the value of classical literature and encourages readers to engage with challenging works that elevate the mind. He critiques the superficiality of popular literature and the tendency of people to read merely for entertainment. For Thoreau, reading is a form of self-improvement and a way to connect with the wisdom of the past. Chapter 4: Sounds. In Sounds, Thoreau shifts his focus to the sensory experiences of living in nature. He describes the sounds he hears at Walden Pond, from the whistle of trains to the songs of birds. Thoreau contrasts the natural melodies of the woods with the mechanical noises of civilization. This chapter highlights the harmony and rhythm of nature, which Thoreau sees as a source of inspiration and peace. He encourages readers to cultivate their sensitivity to the world around them, appreciating its beauty and complexity. Chapter 5: Solitude. Thoreau reflects on the value of solitude, which he views as essential for self-discovery and spiritual growth. He argues that being alone in nature allows individuals to connect with themselves and the universe on a deeper level. Contrary to societal assumptions, Thoreau does not find solitude lonely. Instead, he feels a profound sense of companionship with nature. He writes that physical proximity to others is less important than spiritual connection and shared purpose. Chapter 6: Visitors. Despite his solitude, Thoreau occasionally entertains visitors at his cabin. In this chapter, he reflects on his interactions with others and the role of community in his life. He values meaningful conversation and the exchange of ideas but maintains that solitude is his primary mode of living. Thoreau's interactions with visitors highlight the balance between individualism and social engagement, emphasizing that self-reliance does not mean complete isolation. Chapter 7: The Beanfield. This chapter details Thoreau's efforts to cultivate a beanfield near his cabin. The work provides a metaphor for his broader philosophy. Through simple, honest labor, individuals can find fulfillment and connect with the land. Thoreau contrasts his agricultural pursuits with commercial farming, critiquing the latter for prioritizing profit over the intrinsic value of the earth. His bean field becomes a symbol of his commitment to living in harmony with nature. Chapter 8. The Village. In The Village, Thoreau recounts his occasional trips to Concord to socialize, run errands, or attend meetings. These visits remind him of the distractions and conformity of society, reinforcing his preference for the simplicity of life at Walden Pond. Thoreau's experiences in the village also highlight his distrust of institutions and his critique of societal norms. He values independence and self-determination over adherence to external expectations. Chapter 9. The Ponds. Thoreau describes the physical beauty and spiritual significance of Walden Pond and other nearby bodies of water. He marvels at their clarity and purity, seeing them as symbols of nature's perfection and a source of inspiration. This chapter reflects Thoreau's deep connection to the natural world and his belief in its ability to heal and elevate the human spirit. Chapter 10. Baker Farm. Thoreau visits a poor farmer named John Field, who struggles to make ends meet while aspiring to material success. Thoreau contrasts his own simple lifestyle with Field's hardships, arguing that the pursuit of wealth often leads to unnecessary suffering. This encounter reinforces Thoreau's belief that simplicity and self-reliance are paths to freedom and contentment. Chapter 11. Higher Laws. In Higher Laws, Thoreau explores the moral and spiritual dimensions of his philosophy. He reflects on the tension between physical desires and higher aspirations, emphasizing the importance of self-discipline and mindfulness. Thoreau also discusses his views on vegetarianism, suggesting that living in harmony with nature involves minimizing harm to other creatures. He sees this as part of a broader ethical framework that respects the interconnectedness of all life. Chapter 12. Brute Neighbors. This chapter examines the behavior of animals around Walden Pond, from ants to loons. Thoreau anthropomorphizes these creatures, finding parallels between their actions and human behaviors. Through his observations, Thoreau highlights the intelligence and vitality of the natural world, celebrating its diversity and resilience. Chapter 13. Housewarming. As winter approaches, Thoreau prepares his cabin for the cold months. He describes his methods for heating and insulating the cabin, emphasizing the simplicity and sufficiency of his living arrangements. This chapter underscores Thoreau's adaptability and his belief in the value of self-reliance, even in challenging conditions. Chapter 14. Former Inhabitants and Winter Visitors. Thoreau reflects on the history of Walden Pond, including the lives of its previous inhabitants. He honors their resilience and resourcefulness while drawing parallels to his own experiment. This chapter also describes Thoreau's interactions with visitors during the winter, highlighting the importance of storytelling and shared experiences. Chapter 15. Winter Animals. Thoreau observes the behavior of animals during the winter, marveling at their ability to adapt and survive. He draws lessons from their perseverance and resourcefulness, finding inspiration in their harmony with the environment. Chapter 16. The Pond in Winter. Thoreau explores the frozen Walden Pond, describing its physical and symbolic significance. The ice, he notes, conceals the vitality beneath, reminding him of the cyclical nature of life and renewal. Chapter 17. Spring. With the arrival of spring, Thoreau celebrates the renewal and regeneration of nature. He describes the thawing of the pond and the return of life to the woods, finding in these events a metaphor for human growth and transformation. Chapter 18. Conclusion. In the final chapter, Thoreau reflects on the lessons of his experiment and their broader implications. He urges readers to live deliberately, embrace simplicity, and cultivate a deep connection to nature. He writes, "The mass of men led lives of quiet desperation, challenging readers to pursue lives of purpose and authenticity." Thoreau concludes with an optimistic vision of humanity's potential for spiritual and moral growth, inspired by the natural world. Themes and messages. Simplicity. Thoreau advocates for reducing material needs to focus on what truly matters. Self-reliance. Independence and mindfulness are essential for personal fulfillment. Nature's role. Nature is both a practical resource and a source of spiritual inspiration. Critique of materialism. Thoreau challenges the societal obsession with wealth and possessions. Individualism. He encourages readers to question societal norms and live authentically. Conclusion. Walden is both a personal narrative and a philosophical treatise, offering timeless insights into the human condition and humanity's relationship with nature. Thoreau's experiment in simple living serves as a powerful reminder of the value of mindfulness, self-reliance, and harmony with the natural world.